We're finally resuming the classes. Does anyone recollect where we are supposed to resume?
Anandpati Mataji is saying that we have read up to 4 paragraphs of chapter 11. So can we start it afresh from chapter 11?
All right, sure.
So let me share the screen, Prabhuji.
Sure.
Is it visible to all?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Can I read? Because I cannot mute myself since I'm sharing this.
Sure. You always have a desire to read, so please read. Lord Chaitanya is fulfilling your desire. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Chapter 11, Service to the Lord. Next, Lord Chaitanya explained to Sanatana Goswami the process by which one can approach Krishna. The only process, said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is devotional service to Krishna. This is the verdict of all Vedic literature. As the sages declare, if someone inquires into the Vedas to determine the process of transcendental realization, or if someone consults the Puranas, which are considered sister literatures, one will find that in all of them the conclusion is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only object of worship. Krishna is the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is situated in his internal potency, which is known as Swarup Shakti or Atma Shakti, as described in the Bhagavad Gita. He expands himself in multiple forms, some of which are known as his personal forms and some as his separated forms. Thus, he enjoys himself in all the spiritual planets as well as in the material universes. Krishna's separated, expanded forms are the living entities who are classified according to which of the Lord's energies they are under. They are divided into 2 classes, eternally liberated and eternally conditioned. Eternally liberated living entities never come into contact with the material nature, and therefore they do not have any experience of material life. They are eternally engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service to the Lord, and they are counted among the associates of Krishna. Their pleasure, the only enjoyment of their life, is derived from rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna. On the other hand, those who are eternally conditioned are always divorced from the transcendental loving service of Krishna and are thus subjected to the threefold miseries of material existence. On account of the conditioned soul's eternal attitude of separation from Krishna, the spell of the material energy awards him 2 kinds of bodies: the gross body, consisting of 5 elements, and the subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego. Excuse me. Being covered by these 2 bodies, the conditioned soul eternally suffers the pangs of material existence, known as the threefold miseries. He is also subjected to 6 enemies, lust, anger, etc. Such is the everlasting disease of the conditioned soul. Diseased and conditioned, the living entity transmigrates all over the universe. Sometimes he is situated in the upper planetary system, and sometimes he travels in the lower planetary system. In this way, he leads his diseased, conditioned life. His disease can be cured only when he meets and follows the expert physician, the bona fide spiritual master. When the conditioned soul faithfully follows the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master, his material disease is cured. He is promoted to the liberated stage. and he again attains to the devotional service of Krishna and goes back home, back to Krishna. A conditioned living entity should become aware of his real position and pray to the Lord, how much longer will I be ruled by all these bodily functions, such as lust and anger? As masters of the conditioned soul, lust and anger are never merciful. Indeed, such bad masters never cease demanding service from the conditioned soul. But when he comes to his real consciousness, Krishna consciousness, he stops serving these bad masters and approaches Krishna with a frank and open heart to achieve his shelter. As such, at such a time, he prays to Krishna to be engaged in his transcendental loving service.
Okay, can you pause there for a moment?
Yeah, sure.
So here, the concept of eternally liberated and eternally conditioned is brought out. So sometimes we may think eternal means we've never been with Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada clarifies, it means that it is so long, it's since time immemorial. It does not mean in the literal sense that we were never with Krishna. We were with Krishna at one point in time, and due to our desire to enjoy independent of the Lord, then we are put into the condition, put into the influence of the three modes. And this happened very, 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 very long time ago. So Prabhupada gives the example that just like you have in a city, they build a prison house, and how many percentage of citizens are in the prison house? Prabhupada says maybe 5% or something. I don't know if 5%. Anyway, Prabhupada says there is very few, the percentage is very small. So, although we may find so many jivas in this material world, the number of jivas in this material world is small, very small, compared to the living entities who are with Krishna. So the word eternally conditioned does not refer, it is not in the literal sense of the term, but it is to refer to the fact that it is since time immemorial. Any thoughts, questions, reflections on that?
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji, pranam. Prabhuji, thank you for explaining this. Sometimes we say that, like for Prabhupada, for his spiritual master and our Guru Parampara and the current devotees also that I have heard from few devotees that he is eternally liberated, Kripa Siddhi and Sadhana Siddhi. There are several categories. So how should we understand to whom we should believe that, this is the authority and whatever he is saying, we accept it?
See, some of them, like Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, they are eternally liberated associates of the Lord. Now, the question can come up that in ISKCON, there are devotees who have accepted various spiritual masters. So, are they all in the eternally liberated category? Definitely not. Among the 11 people whom Srila Prabhupada handpicked to be gurus, more than 5 of them actually left Krishna consciousness. So there's no question of them being eternal associates of the Lord who came down to this material world to help Prabhupada. Prabhupada did say that everybody were born in different parts of the world to help him in the Krishna conscious movement. That is a fact. But he did not say that they were all eternal associates of the Lord. So, as far as the practicing devotees are concerned, we should stick by the process of devotional service as given to us by Srila Rupa Goswami and handed down to us in the line of Parampara all the way to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati and then Srila Prabhupada. And what is that? And Rupa Goswami, he says, the nectar of instruction is the first book. So we have to see whether someone is able to control the urges of body, mind, and words, which is the first verse of the Upadeshamrita. We have to see with the Upadeshamrita as a point of reference how much of the Upadeshamrita can we see in this person. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the symptoms of an advanced devotee cannot be faked. There are symptoms which can be faked. There are symptoms which cannot be faked. The symptoms which can be faked are rolling on the ground and in ecstasy and all these kind of things. These can be faked. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explained there are some symptoms which cannot be faked. What are those symptoms? Shantir avyatta khalatvam, viraktir manashunyata, asha banda samutkanta, namagane sadaruchi, asaktis tad gunakyane, pritis tad vasati stale. So there are 9 symptoms of someone who is very advanced. These 9 symptoms cannot be faked. So what are those 9 symptoms? Shanti, forgiveness. Avyartha kalatvam, they do not waste time. They do not. Whenever you see them, they're engaged in some Krishna conscious activity. Virakti, they are not dependent on material facilities and conveniences. You give them a hut to stay or you give them a palace to stay, they'll just be the same. They will not complain. Why did you give me this small place to live? They won't complain. Like Prabhupada had castles in Europe, but when he came and stayed in Bhubaneswar in 1977, there's a simple hut, not even running water. Prabhupada is very happily living there. So Virakti means their practice of Krishna consciousness is not dependent upon material circumstances. Mana Shunyata, they don't expect any respect to be given to them. Oh, I am a senior devotee. Why didn't you save some Mahaprasadam plate for me? Why didn't you keep a special room for me? They don't talk like this. The Mana Shunyata, they don't expect any special kind of treatment for them. Genuinely, they don't. They may accept if something is given, but they don't expect it. So, Mana Shunyata. Shantir avyartha kalatvam, viraktir mana shunyata, asha banda samutkanta. Asha banda, they are always hopeful. You'll never find them hopeless. As Srila Prabhupada would say, our process is hope against hope. So even in the most hopeless conditions, they will still be hopeful. They are hopeful of Krishna's mercy. They are convinced of Krishna's omnipotency, that Krishna can do anything. So they are not worried about anything. They have that faith in Krishna. They have that faith that Krishna consciousness is always lead to success of attaining Krishna prema. So Asha Bandha Samutkanta, one Shanti Ravyartha Kalatu Virakti Manashunyata.
Asakti.
One minute.
Asakti.
No, that is later. That is later. Wait, hold on. Shanti Ravyartha
Samutkanta.
No, wait. Asha Bandha Samutkanta, Namagane Sadaruchi. So they are always eager to hear about the pastimes of Krishna, and they are Namagane Sadaruchi. For them, chanting naturally is like breathing. You don't find they fill all their time with chanting. You don't find them just sitting just quietly. No, they'll always be uttering the holy names of the Lord. Then Asaktis Tat Gunakyane, they have Asakti. Asakti means, oh, today I've heard 4 hours of Krishna Katha. I'm tired now. Let me hear what is going on in the world. Let me hear some news. Let me open some newspaper. No. Asaktis Tat Gunakyane. When they are both eager to both describe and hear unlimitedly, 24 hours. They're enthusiastic to hear and narrate the glories of the Lord. Then, Pritistad Vasati Stale, they're very attached to the holy places. They don't think, oh, Vrindavan is so dirty now, it has become a concrete jungle, or Mayapur is so hot. They don't think about all these things. They are so attached to the holy places of the Lord. So like these are 9 symptoms. These 9 symptoms cannot be faked. So when one tries to accept guidance or tries to accept a spiritual master, these are the things that one has to examine, because these cannot be faked. Okay, somebody may try to fake it for one day or some few hours, but you can't do it over and over again over a period of time. That's why it says you should test the spiritual master for 1 year. For 1 year, you consistently see these things. Then you know that such a person is an advanced Vaishnava. So whether that Vaishnava is a Uttamadhikari or not, is not the real thing. Whether they've attained love of God or not. Whether they are exhibiting symptoms of advancement. That is more important. It does not matter whether the person is a sadhana siddha, kripa siddha, nitya siddha, or even a sadhaka. As long as they are tangibly showing signs of advancement. Is it okay, Madhuri?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Shall I start sharing?
Anyone else has any questions or comments? Okay, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, there is no time in the spiritual world. That's what we hear. So when we say that we have been away from the spiritual world for a long time, then how do we measure time in terms of the spiritual balance?
See, it's not that there is no time in the spiritual world. There is time. There is morning, there is afternoon, there is night. All these things are there. But when it says time, it means time as it exists in the material world. In the material world, time destroys everything. So it is in that sense it is said that there is no such thing in the spiritual world. Spiritual world, everything is expanding. It's expanding. It's nothing is. It's not a destructive, or it is instead of not only expanding, but it's also blossoming. But whereas in the material world is a place of destruction. So time as a destructive force or is not present in the spiritual world. That is the meaning.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, I get it. Thank you so much.
What else?
Hare Krishna. So it means that time goes on eternally. There is no, it's not like that because there is no age defined or like that. Anything will be annihilated or distracted after some period of time. Aisa nahi hai.
In the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna Prabhupada says time is eternal. But that time which is being referred to there is the time of this material world, which is destructive in nature. But there is a time which is blossoming in nature in the spiritual world, not destructive in nature.
Yes. I think Jyoti Mataji had to ask something.
Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Please
Prabhuji,
ask, go ahead.
I wanted to can you please explain this concept of time with some example?
Example as in, I mean, what do you mean by example?
It is blossoming, there it is blossoming and here it is destructing. Like here it is destructing, that I am able to understand, but there it is in the form of blossoming, that I am not able to conceive it very properly.
There, time facilitates the expansion of Krishna's pastimes. Here in the material world, time facilitates the destruction of our pastimes. I don't know what it, not our pastimes, whatever you call it. Our activities. There it facilitates the expansion of Krishna's activities. Right? So here it facilitates the destruction of our activities.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, for those of you who are attending this class, the Mataji asked a question. She attended the entire Navadip Mandal Parikrama. Then she attended the entire safari. So congratulations on your successful completion of all of it. And she's doing all of it for the first time.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's all because of your mercy, you and Mataji.
I saw that during Navadip Mandal Parikrama it was hot, but I saw you walked throughout, you were there. And similarly, Safari, it was whatever be the condition, you stuck it out. So thank you for that determination. It was quite inspiring.
Thank you, Prabhuji, just for trying to follow your footsteps, you and Mataji.
No, I didn't walk like you. So I had it easier.
It's your
Okay.
mercy.
Okay, we can go ahead, Anandita Mataji. What's happening? Are you reading, Mataji? Are you reading? You're mute probably if you're reading.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. Sometimes, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Sometimes the Vedic literature highly praises fruitive activities, mystic yoga, and the speculative search for knowledge as different ways to self-realization. Yet, despite such praise in all Vedic literature, the path of devotional service is accepted as the foremost. In other words, devotional service to Lord Krishna is the highest perfectional path to self-realization, and it is recommended that it be performed directly. Fruitive activity, mystic meditation, and philosophical speculation are not direct methods of self-realization. They are indirect because without devotional service, they cannot lead to the highest perfection of self-realization. Indeed, all paths to self-realization ultimately depend on the path of devotional service.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, the first part of it deals with Jnana Yoga. Okay. Then in the middle, you have Bhakti being placed. And the first part of it deals with Karma Yoga. And later on, I mean, you could say there is some Jnana Yoga there also, but there's a lot about Karma Yoga in the beginning. And later on, there is about Jnana Yoga. But Bhakti is in between, sandwiched between the two. And so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that because it is touching both karma and jnana, it gives life to karma and gives life to jnana. That's why it's sandwiched in between. So it can touch both. Because of it touching both of them have their life. Otherwise, it's meaningless. Karma cannot be fruitful without an element of bhakti in it. Similarly, jnana cannot be fruitful without an element of bhakti in it.
When Vyasdev was not satisfied, even after compiling heaps of books of Vedic knowledge, Narad Muni, his spiritual master, explained that no path of self-realization can be successful unless it is mixed with devotional service. When Narad Muni arrived, Vyasdev was sitting by the banks of the river Saraswati in a state of depression. Upon seeing Vyas so dejected, Narad explained the deficiency in his compilation of various books. Even pure knowledge does not look well unless it is contemplated by transcendental devotional service. And what to speak of fruitive activities when they are devoid of devotional service? How can they be of any benefit to their performer? Similarly, Sukdev Goswami prays in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.17 There are many sages who are expert in performing austerities. There are many men who give much in charity. There are many famous men, scholars, and thinkers. And there are those who are very expert in reciting Vedic hymns. Although all the activities of those men are auspicious, unless one performs them in order to attain devotional service to the Lord, they cannot award the desired results. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, the only one who can award such results. Although many types of philosophers and transcendentalists believe that one who lacks knowledge cannot be liberated from the material entanglement, there is no possibility that knowledge without devotional service can award liberation. In other words, when Gyan or the cultivation of knowledge leads one onto the path of devotional service, then only does it help one gain liberation, but not otherwise. This is confirmed by Brahma. This is confirmed by Brahma in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-4. Shreya Shrutim Bhaktim Udasya Te Vibhu Klishyanti Ye Keval Bodh Labdhaye Tesham Asau Kleshal Eva Shishyate Nanyat Yatha Sthul Tusha Vaghatinam. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of knowledge or in speculation, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired results. Just as a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who engages simply in speculative knowledge cannot achieve the desired result of self-realization. His only gain is trouble. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.14, it is stated that the material nature is so strong that it can be surmounted only by those living entities who surrender unto the lotus feet of Krishna. Only they can cross the ocean of material existence. When the living entity forgets that he is eternally the servitor of Krishna.
I think, Radhakishori Mataji, I think there is some. I think who's it? Is it Narmasaki Mataji in the background? Can you just mute her if you can? Okay, go ahead, Anandita Mataji.
Yeah. When a living entity forgets that he is eternally the servitor of Krishna, that forgetfulness causes his bondage in conditioned life and his attraction for the material energy. Indeed, that attraction is the shackle of the material energy, since it is very difficult for a person to become free as long as he desires to lord it over the material nature. It is recommended that he approaches a spiritual master who can train him in the devotional service. In this way, he can get out of the clutches of material nature and achieves the lotus feet of Krishna. There are 4 social divisions of human society: the Brahmanas or the intellectuals, the Kshatriyas or the administrators, the Vaishyas or the businessmen, and the farmers and the Shudras. Vaishyas or businessmen and farmers, and the Shudras or laborers. There are also 4 spiritual orders or ashramas: the brahmacharis or the students, the grihasthas or householders, the vanprasthas or retired persons, and the sannyasis or those in the renounced life. Regardless of one's social and spiritual position, however, one who is lacking in devotional service or Krishna consciousness cannot be released from material bondage, even if he executes his prescribed duty. On the contrary, he will glide down to the hell due to the material consciousness. Therefore, whoever is engaged in his occupational or spiritual duty must simultaneously cultivate Krishna consciousness in devotional service if he wants liberation from the material clutches. In this regard, Lord Chaitanya recited two verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11.5, 2 to 3, that were spoken by Narad Muni to indicate the path of Bhagavat cultivation. Narad pointed out that the four social divisions of human society, as well as the four orders of life, are born from the gigantic universal form of the Lord, the Virat Purush. The Brahmanas are born from the mouth of the universal form, the Kshatriyas are born from the arms, the Vaishyas from the waist, and the Shudras from the legs. As such, the members of all these social orders are qualified in different modes of material nature within the form of the Virat Purusha. But if a person is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, he falls from his position, regardless of whether he executes his prescribed occupational duty or not. Lord Chaitanya further pointed out that although those who belong to the Mayavad or impersonalist school consider themselves to be one with God or liberated, they are not actually liberated, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 10-32. Yanya arvindaksha vimuktamaninas tvaya astabhavat avishuddha buddhaya आरुह्य कृच्छ्रेण परम पदम ततः पतन्ति अधो अनादृत युष्मत् अंघ्रयः. Those who think that they are liberated according to the Mayavad philosophy, but who do not take to the devotional service of the Lord, fall down for the want of devotional service, even after they undergo the severest types of penances and austerities, and even after they sometimes approach the supreme position. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that Krishna is just like the sun and that Maya, the illusory material energy, is just like darkness. Therefore, one who is constantly in the sunshine of Krishna cannot possibly be deluded by the darkness of material energy. This is very clearly confirmed in the last of the four principal verses of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.9.34, as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam 2.5.13, which states the illusory energy or Maya is ashamed to stand before the Lord. Nonetheless, the living entities are constantly being bewildered by this very same illusory energy. In his conditioned state, the living entity discovers many forms of word jugglery to get apparent liberation from the clutches of Maya. But if he sincerely surrenders unto Krishna by simply once saying, "My dear Lord Krishna, from this day I am yours," he at once gets out of the clutches of the material energy. This is confirmed in the Ramayana, Yuddha Kand 18.33, wherein the Lord says, "Sakrit eva prapanno yas tavasmiti cha yachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadamya etadritam mama." It is my duty and vow to give all protection to one who surrenders unto me without reservation. One may develop the desire to enjoy fruitive activities, liberation, jnana, or the perfection of the yoga system. But if one becomes very intelligent, he will give up all these paths and engage himself to insincere devotional service to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 confirms that an intelligent person, whether free of desires or full of desires for material enjoyment or desirous of liberation, should engage in intense devotional service. Those who are ambitious to derive material benefit from devotional service are not pure devotees, but because they are engaged in devotional service, they are considered fortunate. They do not know that the result of devotional service is not material benediction, but because they engage in devotional service of the Supreme Lord, they ultimately come to understand that material enjoyment is not its goal. Krishna says that persons who want some material benefit in exchange for devotional service are certainly foolish because they want something that is poisonous for them. Yet, although a person may desire material benefits from Krishna, the Lord, being all powerful, considers the person's position and gradually liberates him from a materially ambitious life and engages him in more devotional service. When one is actually engaged in devotional service, he forgets his material ambitions and desires. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:19-27. Satyam di satya arthitam arthito neham naivartha do yat punar arthita yatah swayam vidhatte bhajatam anichyatam ichhapidhanam nijpad pallavam. Lord Krishna certainly fulfills the desires of his devotees who come to him in devotional service, but he does not fulfill desires that would again cause miseries. In spite of being materially ambitious, such devotees, by rendering transcendental service to the Lord, are gradually purified of desires for material enjoyment and come to desire the pleasure of devotional service. Generally, people come into the association of devotees to mitigate some material wants, but the influence of pure devotee frees a man from all material desires by enabling him to relish the taste of devotional service. Devotional service is so nice and pure that it purifies the devotee and he forgets all material ambitions as soon as he engages fully in the transcendental loving service of Krishna. A practical example is Dhruva Maharaj, who wanted something material from Krishna, therefore engaged in devotional service. When the Lord appeared before Dhruva as four-handed Vishnu, Dhruva told him, "My dear Lord, because I engaged in your devotional service with great austerity and penances, I am now seeing you, whom even great demigods and sages have difficulty seeing. Now I am pleased, and all my desires are satisfied. I do not want anything else. I was searching for some broken glass, but instead I found a great and valuable gem." Thus Dhruva Maharaj expressed his full satisfaction and refused to ask anything from the Lord.
Okay. See, there is something which is important that we need to understand here. That this material body is an insult. Material body itself is an insult. Like when someone is arrested and they have to stay in prison, you can't wear normal dress. You have to wear prison dress. For any respectable gentleman or lady, a prison dress is an insult. So we may talk in terms of, oh, somebody has got a very beautiful body, or somebody has got whatever, in terms of materially, whenever we talk, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruti, Shri, Shuddha Shri. Okay. All of this refers to different configurations of the prison dress. Okay. And its accompaniments. For example, Janma, Aishwarya. Janma is birth. Okay. So you're privileged to be in a certain prison dress. That's what it means. Janma. Aishwarya. Okay. As Prabhupada says, you are eligible to be in the first class prison. Okay. Then, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruti. You're very learned. Okay. So what kind of learning is that? Learning in avidya. So it is about how do you correlate this to the it is like how do we say, the body is like the hardware, like the mind and intelligence is like the software. Okay, so this is like the prison dress and the prison software. That's what it means. A very nice intelligence means nice prison software you've got. Okay, you've got nice prison body, a prison dress, nice prison software you've got. And then Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri, which is beauty, a very beautiful dress. So basically, it is an insult. So that's why in the insult, what is the use of something which is so-called glorious? So Prabhupada, Bhagavatam calls it decorations on a dead body, which means that dead body, who cares for a dead body actually? Nobody cares for a dead body. Prabhupada says only madmen care for a madmen would think that the dead body is valuable. So therefore, the material existence is a condition of madness, where we think that these things are of value. But these things are an insult actually. It's an insult. Therefore, Kunti Devi prays, one who is free from these things, from this great misconception that Janma, Aishwarya, Shruti, and Shruta and Shri are of some value. They are absolutely of no value. They've got zero value. But being trapped by the material energy, we think it is of some value. It is actually an insult. So, our whole material life revolves around this thing, principles of Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shri. So what kind of a life is that? So Krishna consciousness teaches us to get free from that. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, this is good, that is bad. All these things are just mental concoctions. In the material world, everything is bad. Everything is bad. So if whatever is called good is engaged in the service of Krishna in the material world, that becomes glorious. Even whatever is bad is also engaged in the service of Krishna. Somehow, that also becomes glorious, in the sense that somebody may be committing a sinful activity. They may be engaged in a sinful profession. But if they use the result for Krishna, then even that becomes glorious. So lust is not considered a good quality, right? It is degrading quality. But it can be engaged in the service of Krishna. Anger can be engaged in the service of Krishna. Like that. So even the so-called bad can be engaged. So good also can be engaged. And whether it's good or bad, both of them are zeros, unless they are engaged in the service of Krishna. So this whole scheme of material existence is based on insult. And within that insult, we feel, oh, I am insulted, I should be respected. What is it? First of all, you're living in it's a big insult that you have a material body. Then what kind of a respect are you expecting? Respect, there cannot be a greater insult than having a material body. Then what kind of respect should we expect after having the greatest insult? It's meaningless. It's all foolishness. So it is pure devotional service, the teachings of bhakti, which teaches us all these things. These things are all of no value. The real thing is practice pure devotional service and try to please Krishna. So Dhruva Maharaj, after performing the austerities, and there's Dhruva Tila, it's in Vrindavan, the forest, where this time during safari, there is a footprint of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu installed there. That's where he practiced. 6 months, he saw the Supreme Lord. When he saw the Supreme Lord, he thought, what is this? What am I trying? Even the kingdom as big as Brahma is as useless as broken pieces of glass. Whereas devotional service to Krishna is like a diamond. So when you have that, what is all this? So any hankering that we have for this material world, any hankering, many material desires, all that becomes insignificant. It becomes, in fact, abominable when one attains the stage of pure devotional service. So that is the glory of pure devotional service. It renders everything, it renders everything insignificant and even abominable. Any thoughts, questions? If you don't have, I have some things to say. Okay. On whatever I spoke.
Prabhuji, then you speak first, then we will answer.
No. I want to know what kind of thoughts have come into your mind.
Prabhuji, I had a question earlier also, and now this thing we are discussing. Since by the mercy of Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and Krishna consciousness, we got to know that we are entrapped, and whatever good we are seeing in this material world is not at all good. Like you mentioned, in the prison house, what can be the good? Maybe you are elevated to the first class prison or like that. But we see that it was a question from a long time, and since we are having class after a long time, so I'm asking now. Prabhuji, we have understood this, and whoever is well educated, well successful in material life, and plus he is a devotee, he has also understood that whatever I can do with my material energy, I will just use it for Krishna's service, and this is my job here, and I just want to end the repeated births and deaths. But my child and children of many devotees who are now aspiring to get degrees, they want to go achieve whatever they want. They want to be successful in their lives. Though, as a practicing mother, I know that, to survive in the material life, these things are required. But this is not the only thing. Along with that, Krishna consciousness must be there. And what we have read in till so far in Krishna consciousness, that all these sanskaras carry from the previous births. From the childhood, we see many children, they are very inclined to become engineers, some are doctors, some businessmen, like that. And when they grow up, they just want to explore these tendencies. They want to get in these degrees. They work so hard. It's really a very big penance. They have price they have to pay for it. So how to, for a mother like me, how should I take it? And how should make my child understand that, okay, so I just want to learn from you that how should I make my mind? Now should I make her understand that?
Okay, I got your question. See, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not recommend any sudden changes. First of all, we should have the adhikar to do things. For example, sannyas, to give up the world. It's not an ordinary thing. One has to be qualified for that. One may know. I mean, like, for example, I'm talking now. So all of us may have know to different extents that this material world is a useless place. But does it mean that we have the adhikar to take sannyas? No. So that is a status of, that is a position or a platform of full realization. Okay, like sannyasi is supposed to not be attracted anymore to anything in this material world. He's supposed to be detached. So that is the adhikar of a sannyasi. And Prabhupada says, for example, in the first canto of Bhagavatam says, unless one is fearless, like Narada Muni walking through the middle of dense, dark jungles, even during bright 12 o'clock afternoon, it looked like night. So such thick forests. And he has got full confidence that the Lord will protect me. Prabhupada writes, unless one is so fearless, one should not take sannyas. So we may know, don't we know that we have been hearing it so many times, that Krishna will protect us wherever we are. But if we are put in that same situation in the middle of a jungle, I'm pretty sure that I cannot handle it. So that what does that mean? It means that I may know, I may have knowledge, but I'm not on that platform. Okay. What is not acceptable is to promote something of ignorance as something valuable. This is what we are trying to stop. Okay, we have certain conditionings. So based on our conditionings, we may act, but don't glorify it. This is the whole point. Like, okay, somebody may have the conditioning to, okay, I want to study. Forget about other people. I'll tell about myself. When I was a student, they would tell me, why you need to study? Just join as a brahmachari in the temple. What is the need for all these things? It made sense to me, but after a lot of pressure, I tried. Then I came to Mayapur, and I was here for only a week. And I thought, no, I cannot handle this life. I went back. So didn't I know that it's useless? I know. But do I have the realization? I don't have the realization. So I pursued my higher education. So the point that I'm trying to make is that having material attraction is not the real problem. The problem is justifying it and glorifying it. You understood, right? So one can do whatever one needs to do to be peaceful. For example, I know that if I don't pursue my higher education, I cannot be peaceful. Mind is going to be continuously disturbed. At the same time, I cannot say that this is something very valuable. No, I cannot justify it in the name of, oh, this is valuable, I can use it for Krishna service. Yes, I can use it for Krishna service. There's no doubt in that. But because I'm in that condition, I can use it. Not that I can glorify, oh, you can do so much preaching if you're educated, do this, do that, if you're beautiful or nothing. These are not in line with the principles of pure devotional service. Thing is, okay, I have a condition because of which I need to do certain things to be peaceful, to execute devotional service. So that is the platform on which we have to act. So we are not against people trying to progress from their levels of conditioning. And we cannot make progress at one shot. Progress is always incremental. So we have to be considerate of people's situations in life, as long as they are not making it into a philosophy. This is also okay, and that is also okay. Nothing is okay. What is okay is whatever situation that you are in, let's try to engage that in Krishna's service. That is the only thing which is okay. Not that the situation itself is okay. No situation in the material world is okay. No form of conditioning is okay. Only pure devotional service is okay. So no matter what conditioning I have, no matter what the situation is, let me engage in Krishna's service. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. So, what I understood is that because at the present moment because they don't have the adhikar. So, even if, like my daughter says, that Mama, see, you have done with your education and all. Now you have understood it. But it's me that I have to explore my life. I have to go ahead in my life. Though I know this is what you are doing is correct, but let me do what I want, and I will do it later on. And she knows the things, and she appreciates also, though she is not able to chant nowadays. But quite often, because I know, like you mentioned, that we don't have adhikar. She also doesn't have adhikar, that she will understand, okay, what's the use of that? Just leave it and pursue Krishna consciousness. She will not be able to do it, because she will always blame me that you didn't allow me to do it. First of all,
Yeah.
she will not do it.
Correct. So one is giving up, one is adding. So giving up is not easy for people, but adding is possible for everybody. So in whatever situation they are doing, whatever condition they are, they can add Krishna into their life in some form or the other. That is possible. Giving up is not possible unless you have the adhikar. But adding is possible for everyone. So they should be encouraged to add. As the addition increases, the giving up also increases slowly over time.
Yeah, but this way, thank you for explaining it very nicely. But we see that in Krishna consciousness also, from few days, I don't know, I may be wrong, I must be wrong, I'm saying, but the educations or the degrees and the work that maybe you are an entrepreneur or a doctor or a whatever. So these things are also required, because grahasthas are there to serve the his community, Krishna consciousness community, and we often have so many services. And if the child is, if I being a mother, and she knows that whatever I'm doing, I will do. I just my duty is to serve the Krishna consciousness movement. I will do it. Whatever things I have, whatever degrees I have, whatever capabilities, I mean to say. So my duty is to serve Krishna consciousness movement. So
yeah, see, that is correct. But at the same time, I just want to make a small correction in what you're saying. It is not that this is required, that is required. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness is Krishna Bhakti Korile Sarva Krita Hoy. So if you do Krishna Bhakti, you don't need to do anything like Srivas Thakur. What will you, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, asked him that, what do you do? He's just clapping 3 times. The Lord Chaitanya asks, what is this clapping 3 times? Then he says, first clap means, what is it? I will just depend on the Lord and he will send me something. Second clap is, again, I'll depend on the Lord and he'll send me something. Third clap is, even if the Lord doesn't send something, I will jump in the Ganges. That's it. But Lord Chaitanya is so impressed with Srivas Thakur, he says, even if Lakshmi Devi has to go out begging, still you will never be devoid of opulence and wealth. So look at that reciprocation that he received from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because he had that faith. So nothing is required. The point is, everything can be engaged in Krishna's service. So nothing is really required. It's not that our movement needs engineers, our movement needs this, and our movement needs pure devotees, actually. That is the only thing that we need, is pure devotional service and pure devotees. Everything else is not a need. I don't know, but it's not required. But because you have condition, okay, it can be engaged in the service of the Lord.
Yeah. So for Srivas Thakur, he was a pure devotee. He had that adhikar. He had complete faith that whatever happens, Lord will protect me. But for a conditioned soul like me, for practicing sadhak like me, I don't have. So I have to be dependent. But at the same time, I should understand whatever I have, I should do as possible for me to serve Krishna.
No, like for sometimes, why I've said this, because sometimes the argument is posed, oh, if we don't have educated devotees, how will we preach? All this is just, this is all irrelevant, actually. It's not, this is not a real, I mean, it's a false argument. What we really need is pure devotees. Everything else, okay. Somebody's an engineer or doctor. Yes, why not? You can use that education to bring some educated people. All that is fine. But you don't need all that to attract. The real thing that you need is pure devotion service. If you can be engaged in if you can be on the platform like Srivas Thakur, nothing is required, actually. You understand, right? So that is all. I'm just making a small correction. What you're saying, it's not, what you're saying is correct. That as far as we are concerned, we have to engage according to our adhikar. And being in the situation, we can take full advantage of it and bringing our colleagues and all those things. But ultimately, you should remember that higher than all this is simply be engaged in devotional service.
Yeah.
So
the takeaways from your replies is that first of all, everybody should act according to his adhikar. Not to imitate, just to progressively progress in Krishna consciousness, incremental, like you said. And like for our children or for other dependents, right? So for when we are preaching, then there are some juniors also, some students also. So what should we make them understand? That do whatever you want, but it should not be sinful as far as Krishna consciousness is concerned. And whatever you want to aspire, you aspire and add Krishna to it and serve the society. So correct. This is what
engage in devotional service. Take the association of devotees, engage in devotional service.
Thank you, because this was actually, I just wanted to understand it nicely. Thank you for your reply. Because I know I asked some other devotee also, but I couldn't express myself to him. So I thought that, I will ask you. And I got the reply. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else has something to say or comment? Actually, you all, since your question, this is what I wanted to speak about, because I spoke strongly about how the material world is useless. But then the question comes of how do we engage with the material world from wherever we are now? So since you already brought it up, so I don't need to speak separately on that topic. I've already answered it comprehensively, but there could be so many other nuances and questions on this. So if there are others who would like to ask something on this or comment something on this, we can have further discussion on that. Anita Mataji, you can continue.
Okay, Prabhuji. The living entity transmigrating through 84 lakh species of life is sometimes likened to a log gliding downstream on the waves of a river. Sometimes, by chance, a log washes up on the shore and is thus saved from being forced to drift further downstream. In this regard, there is a nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:38:5 that encourages every conditioned soul. No one should be depressed by thinking he will never be out of the clutches of matter, for there is the possibility of being rescued. Exactly as it is possible for a log floating down a river to come to rest on the bank. This fortunate opportunity was also discussed by Lord Chaitanya. Such fortunate incidents are considered the beginning of the decline of one's conditioned life, and they occur if one associates with the pure devotees of the Lord. By associating with pure devotees, one develops attraction for Krishna. There are various types of rituals and activities, some of which lead to material enjoyment and others to material liberation. But if a living entity takes to those ritualistic activities by which pure devotional service to the Lord is developed in the association of pure devotees, then his mind naturally becomes attracted to devotional service. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:51-53, Muchukan states, Bhavapavargo Brahmato Yada Bhavej Janasya Tarya Achyut Satsamagamaha Satsangamo Yarhi Tadaiva Sadgatao Paravareshe Tvai Jayate Mati. My dear Lord, while traveling in this material world through different species of life, a living entity may progress toward liberation, but only when he gets a chance to come in contact with a pure devotee can actually be liberated from the clutches of material energy and become a devotee of you, the personality of Godhead. When a conditioned soul becomes a devotee of Krishna, the Lord, by his causeless mercy, trains him in two ways. He trains him from without as the spiritual master, and he trains him from within as the super soul. In this connection, there is a very nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-6, in which Uddhav says to Lord Krishna, my dear Lord, even if someone lives as long as Brahma, he would still be unable to express his gratitude to you for the benefits derived from remembering you. Out of your causeless mercy, you drive away all the inauspicious conditions for your devotee, expressing yourself from outside as the spiritual master and from inside as the super soul. If one somehow or other gets in touch with the pure devotee and thus develops a desire to render devotional service to Krishna, he gradually rises to the platform of love of Godhead and is thus freed from the clutches of the material energy. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:28, where the Lord says, for one who out of his own accord becomes attracted to topics of my activities, being neither allured nor repelled by material activities, following the path of devotional service leading to the perfection of love of God becomes possible. However, it is not possible to achieve the stage of perfection without being favored by a pure devotee or a Mahatma, a great soul. Without the mercy of a great soul, one cannot even be liberated from the material clutches, and what to speak of rising to the platform of the love of Godhead. This also is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:12-12, in a conversation between Jad Bharat and King Rahugana, ruler of the Sindhu and Sauvir provinces. When King Rahugana expressed surprise upon seeing Bharat's spiritual achievements, Bharat replied, Rahugane tapasanayati na chechayan hirva pranat Grihadva na chandasa naiva jalagni surye vina mahatpadarajo abhishekam. My dear Rahugan, no one can attain the perfected stage of devotional service without being favored by a great soul, a pure devotee. No one can attain the perfectional stage simply by following the regulatory principles of scriptures or by accepting the renounced order of life or by prosecuting the prescribed duties of householder life or by becoming a great student of spiritual science or by accepting severe austerity and penances for realization. Similarly, when the atheist Hiranyakashipu asked his son Prahlad Maharaj how he had attained such a devotional attitude, the boy replied, as long as one is not favored by the dust of the feet of pure devotees, one cannot even touch the path of devotional service, which is the solution to all problems of material life. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.32. Thus, Lord Chaitanya told Sanatana Goswami that all the scriptures stress association with pure devotees of the Lord. The opportunity to associate with the pure devotee of the Supreme Lord is the beginning of one's complete perfection. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam 1:18-13, where it is said that the facilities and the benedictions one achieves by associating with a pure devotee are incomparable. They cannot be compared to anything, neither elevation to the heavenly kingdom nor liberation from the material energy. Lord Krishna also confirms this in the most confidential instructions in the Bhagavad Gita 18.64 and 65, wherein he tells Arjuna, Sarvaguyatam ham bhuya shrinu me parmam vacha ishtosi me didhamiti tato bhakshyami te hitam Manmanabha madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vishyasi satyam te pratijane preyosime. My dear Arjun, you are my affectionate friend and relative. Therefore, I am imparting to you this most confidential knowledge for your benefit. Just become always mindful of me. Become my constant devotee, become my constant worshipper, and become a soul surrendered to me. Only in this way will you be sure to achieve my abode. Because you are my dear friend, very dear friend, I hereby disclose to you this most confidential knowledge. Such a direct instruction from Krishna is more important than any Vedic injunction and regulative service. There are certainly many Vedic injunctions, ritualistic and sacrificial performances, regulative duties, meditative techniques, and speculative processes for attaining knowledge. But Krishna's direct order, just give up everything else and become my devotee, my worshipper, should be taken as the final order of the Lord and should be followed. If one is simply convinced of this direct order of the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita, becomes attached to his devotional service and gives up all other engagements, one will undoubtedly attain success. To confirm this statement in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29, Krishna says that one should follow other paths of self-realization only as long as one is not convinced of his direct order to become his devotee. It is the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita that the direct order of the Lord is to give up everything and engage in devotional service.
I think, how much more is left in this chapter?
Let me see, Prabhu. I think not much. This one paragraph, 2, 3, there are 3, 4 paragraphs.
Okay. Please continue. Yeah, please continue. I wanted to say something. I'll just say it at the end. Yeah, please go ahead.
Firm conviction that one should execute the order of the Lord is known as faith. One who has faith in is firmly convinced that simply by rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, all other activities are automatically performed, including ritualistic duties,
Krishna Bhakti
sacrifices,
Korile Sarva Krita Hoy. This is what this is the rendering of it. Okay, go ahead.
including ritualistic duties, sacrifices, yoga, and the speculative pursuit of knowledge. In fact, devotional service to the Lord includes everything. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 4:31-14, Yatha taror mula nishechanena prapyanti tatskanda bhujopashakha pranopahara cha yatindriyanam tathaiva sarvarahanam achyuteja. By watering the root of a tree, one automatically nourishes the branches, twigs, leaves, and fruits. And by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses. Similarly, by rendering devotional service to Krishna, one automatically satisfies the requirements for all other forms of worship and all other spiritual processes. One who is faithful and firmly convinced of this is eligible to be elevated as a pure devotee. There are three classes of devotees according to the degree of conviction. The first class devotee is conversant with all kinds of Vedic literature and at the same time has a firm conviction mentioned above. He can deliver all others from the pangs of the material miseries. The second class devotee is firmly convinced and has strong faith, but he has no power to cite evidence from the revealed scriptures. The third class devotee is one whose faith is not very strong, but by the gradual cultivation of devotional service, he can be promoted to the second or the first class position. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:2-45 that the first class devotee always sees the Supreme Lord as the soul of all living entities. Thus, in seeing all living entities, he sees Krishna and nothing but Krishna. The second class devotee places his full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, makes friends with the pure devotees, shows favor to the innocent persons, and avoids those who are atheistic or against devotional service. The third class devotee engages in devotional service according to the directions of the spiritual master or engages out of the family tradition and worships the deity of the Lord, but he has not cultivated knowledge of devotional service. And he does not know a devotee from a non-devotee. Such a third class devotee cannot actually be considered a pure devotee. He is almost in the devotional line, but his position is not very secure. One can thus conclude that when a person shows love for God and friendship for the devotee, displays mercy toward the innocent, and is reluctant to associate with non-devotees, he may be considered a pure devotee. By developing devotional service, such a person can perceive that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme. In each and every living entity, he sees the Supreme Person, and therefore he becomes highly developed in Krishna consciousness. At this stage, he does not distinguish between the devotee and the non-devotee, for he sees that everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. Such a pure devotee continues to develop all great qualities while engaged in Krishna consciousness and devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-12, Yashyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarve gunis tatra samasate sura हराव अभक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणा मनो रथेना सती धावतो बहि. One who attains pure, unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities of the demigods, whereas a person who does not attain such a service is sure to go astray despite all his material qualifications. For he hovers on the mental platform. Thus, his material qualifications are valueless.
Okay, one very important thing that I wanted to stress here is how Sanatan Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, in his instruction to Sanatan Goswami, stresses about the association of pure devotees. Now, when it says association of pure devotees, it means the association of advanced devotees. And normally we know that Abhishek is performed to what? Great personalities, correct? we don't think about, I mean, if we think we should do Abhishek to ourselves, that would be considered pride, right? We are so great that we get to Abhishek to ourselves. So, but the beauty is there is one kind of Abhishek that we can do for ourselves. We can do to ourselves. What is that Abhishek? It is Mahatpada Rajobhishekam. We can take the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees and do Abhishek with the dust on ourselves. So the living entities are also eligible to do Abhishek. We can do Abhishek for ourselves also. And so we should cultivate that habit of trying to do that Abhishek also. That trying to gather the dust from the lotus feet of the great devotees. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that Lord Chaitanya emphasizes Sanatana Goswami that the association with the pure devotees, association with great souls who are engaged in the pure devotional service, that is the beginning of all auspiciousness, beginning, middle, end, everything. It is the sum and substance of all the formula for all auspiciousness. Sum and substance is Mahat Seva, by hearing, by associating, by hearing, and by serving them. And this does not refer to only those who attain love of God. It could refer to anyone who is seriously practicing the teachings of pure devotional service. Okay, I'll stop there. Any questions, comments?
Prabhuji, we have.
Just hold on. Just hold on. Let me just check if anyone else has a question. We'll come back to you. We have 11 participants, that's including me. So, Harini Radhika Mataji, congratulations on initiation. So, you can ask your question now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Prabhuji, thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I wanted to ask that you said that we, according to our adhikar, we should do things. So one of the points that that came up today were expecting respect. So ideally we should be amanina man dena dhrana bhi sunjana, but we are not there. So like you gave the example that you should not feel bad when someone does not say Mahaprasad or things like that. So but if we feel bad by someone's behavior, that he's not that the other person is not behaving with us properly, so it is like we are expecting that we should be treated in a better way, so it is like demanding respect. So what should we do in that case? Should we artificially try to ignore it, or should we talk with that other person that this, if it's recurring, like 1 or 2 times, if something happened and we do not like, we can ignore. But if it's like recurring, if we do not like someone's behavior with us, so what should we do in such a case? If that person is a contemporary, means like if we have a friendship relation with that person, or if that person is a senior, or if that person is a junior, like a Bhakta Vriksha member, in all three cases, what should we do? How should we deal with it?
The principle is we don't see, there is no, see, when I spoke about adhikar, I'm not talking about these things. A devotee, whichever level of adhikar they may be, so they're expected to do some things which are the same, which is, one is that to tolerate, right? Now the question can come up, what tolerate what? So for example, if you are not given enough respect, we are tolerated if you are not given respect. But then there is something called behavior which is against the principles of Krishna consciousness, which has been given to us by Srila Prabhupada. Like, for example, what should I say? Okay, in general, let me put it general. Prabhupada said all the dependents of society should be protected. Old men, old women, women in general, children, they're all dependents in some form. So they should be protected. So if they're not being protected, obviously something should be done about it. So if you're a woman and you feel that some man or somebody is not behaving properly with you, obviously you need to report it to your authority or try to take some action in regard to that. But can you hear me? Or am I?
Your voice became very low suddenly.
what's happening is that there is, let me just, can you hear me? Could you hear me?
Yes, now it's fine.
Okay. So there is something which is, what do you call it? Adharma, and then there is something within the realms of dharma. If something is adharmic, obviously you need to bring it up to your superiors and try to rectify the situation. But if it is not adharmic, then what can be done? There are many variations of people in this material world. You know, so when you have many variations of people in this material world, and the behavior also will vary. As long as it is not adharma, what can we do? We have to tolerate.
So if it's disturbing our mind, what?
I mean, see, my point is, generally for these kind of questions, you can't give a generic answer. So each situation is different. So it has to be brought up to someone whom you know and has to be addressed on an individual level. I just give you the generic principle that if something is adharmic, it needs to be handled. But if it is not adharmic, then one has to tolerate. What can be done? I mean, in the sense that, okay, because there are many variations of people in different modes of material nature. So if they behave in ways which we find it difficult, but what to do? We have to tolerate. But if it's adharmic, it's a different consideration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it is not adharmic, then what can we do? We have to tolerate.
Okay. So if we are not at that level that we can tolerate everything, so um,
So we have to pray to
if it's
Krishna that
disturbing us, so
says
what
no.
should we do?
We may fail, but we have to try again. We may fail. Failure is accepted, but not trying is not accepted. Okay, if fail, okay, next time I'll try to be more tolerant. I should try to pray to Krishna. Please teach me some tolerance. So that way we keep by the prayer of Krishna, by prayer to Krishna, by His grace. Slowly we will be able to become more tolerant, more humble.
So we should not bring it up with the other person. We should not bring it up.
If it is not adharmic, how can you bring? On what basis are you going to bring it up?
That Mataji, I didn't like this. That this is happening again and again. I don't. It makes me feel very bad. This kind of thing.
See, the point is that this is an endless thing. It's endless because it is very subjective. So instead of, that's why I said if it is adharmic, then it's an objective thing. But if it is not adharmic, in this material world, there are, the modes of nature, there are unlimited combinations of people with unlimited combinations of personalities and past conditionings and all that. So naturally, there are bound to be complexities. So when it is not connected to dharma or adharma, then what can we do? We really can't fix it. So the only solution we have is to tolerate it. Like, for example, marriage. Okay. The husband will have different certain kind of conditioning. Wife will have a certain kind of conditioning. There may be areas where they get along very well. There may be areas where they'll have difficulty. Just because they have difficulty does not mean that they should say, okay, I've got some difficulty. So let me just get out of this marriage. It doesn't work like that. So in general, I'm just talking that there's difference between adharma and uh, people's personalities and conditionings and all these kind of things. So, and which is a very big, vast area, because, as I said, there are millions of types of conditioning and millions of personality types, and so these kind of things are a regular feature, are an inseparable feature of our life. And what can we do about it except tolerate it? And at a certain stage, you will not be affected by any of it. The real point is, as Prabhupada says, when you are sitting in a boat, you may be sitting next to you, maybe a third class person and 10th class person or whatever it may be. But he says, but your business is stick tightly on that boat and cross the ocean. So we will always encounter these kind of situations. But what can we do? We should keep our focus on what we are supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be pleasing Krishna. So we are not supposed to be worried about how people are dealing with this. Again, I'm not talking about adharma. I'm just talking about everything else, So this is, see, what cannot be cured has to be endured. It is not that by addressing it, you will be able to cure it. That is where you often think, that's the mistake we often make. Because we think by addressing it, we can be able to cure it. We can only cure adharma and dharma, but not personalities will be personalities. What can you do? Because the way they're behaving may be linked to so many other understandings that they have. So how do you de-entangle all of it? For them also, they have to practice bhakti. You have to also practice bhakti. Then eventually both people will progress.
So Prabhuji, like you said, in marriage there might be difficulties. So we cannot talk about it with we cannot discuss it with our spouse if the whatever
No, I didn't say
difficulty.
you cannot. You can. No, all that I'm saying is, despite whatever you do, the problems will still, the problem, there's certain things you cannot do anything about it. That's the very nature. Forget about marriage, any relationship. It's not that any relationship is perfect. You can only have a perfect relationship with Krishna. Even with a perfect relationship with your father or mother or child, or there will always be some areas where you cannot do anything about it. What are you supposed to do? Just go on with life.
So I just
This
wanted
may
to
not
ask
be a very encouraging answer, but the point is, if you look at it like this, if you focus on the problem, it will always get depressing. But instead of focusing on the problem, think about what are we supposed to be doing? We have such a great opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. So let's worry about that rather than trying to worry about fixing these things, which Krishna will fix anyway, or to whatever extent he wants to. Instead of that, let us try to please Krishna. Let's not give it so much time. Again, I'm talking only about dharmika, not talking anything about adharma here.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
So the good thing is you focus on Krishna consciousness. That itself is so exciting and so many things to do in Krishna consciousness. So don't give this so much attention. Because as they say it's just a common thing, where the attention goes, energy flows. So don't give it so much attention. Prabhupada said the best way to fight Maya is to ignore it. The more you give attention, the more it gets difficult.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, anybody else? I think we've shot over time today. Well over time, 10 minutes beyond 5:30. So, those who want to leave, I think some of them already left. Okay. So we can continue. Yeah. Anandita Mataji, can we take your questions in the next class? You can please reserve it for the next class.
प्रभु जी आज वाली क्लास से कनेक्टेड है तो बस एक क्वेश्चन छोटा सा प्रभु जी जो महत्पाद रजो अभिषेकम it's been said and we read also, so is it an offense to to take the dust of the lotus feet without knowing that devotee? Is it an offense?
No,
because
there's no
our
offense.
karmas also gets transferred to that person.
No, this is all ISKCONisms. Where does it all say like that? Where I know Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about this thing, but there is no restriction. If somebody has walked on some path, there is no restriction. You cannot take the dust from that path and put it on your head. People do that. I've seen it in Vraj. I've seen it in so many places. People just do that spontaneously. There's nothing, no restriction on all those things.
Thank you. Thank you for this.
No, if somebody has for example, touching the feet of this thing, if there's some restriction, if they have a restriction touching, then you cannot do it, obviously. But if the restriction is
I'm not asking for touching the feet, because in any case, females are not supposed to touch the lotus feet of senior devotees and Maharaj and Guru Maharaj.
Yeah. But
so
you can touch their shoes. You can touch their you can touch the shoes on on their head. You can take the dust from where they walked.
Okay. Then because recently I read somewhere, I heard that it should not be done without their permission, because the karmas get transferred. So I will just...
No, that is only for touching the feet.
Okay.
And some personalities do not have that restriction. Some people have that. That's all. So it should be respected. If they have the restriction touch, then you should not touch.
Yeah. Prabhuji,
Okay.
I need to. I'm planning to visit Mayapur. I need to answer 1 or 2 questions. Can I call you now if you're not busy?
Actually, there are 3 people whom I'm supposed to call back right after this thing.
No,
So I will
no
call you the
problem.
4th. I will call back. Just give me some
No
time.
problem. No problem.
Okay, so thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhyavcha paritana pavnebhyo vaishnavyo. Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. We'll resume again next week.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Namaste, Prabhuji. Thank you.